Harry and Meghan cannot be asked to tea at Castle Goring until they have been received by the King, the Queen, the Prince and Princess of Wales, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, the Princess Royal.
Prince Harry's decision to uproot his family from Montecito, California, and relocate to the English countryside has been described by those close to him as one of the most deliberate choices of his adult life. According to sources speaking to the Daily Mail, the single driver behind the move is Harry's commitment to giving his children, Archie and Lilibet, a British education at a UK school. The plan had been in development for years before the family's arrival at Birmingham Airport, with Harry and Meghan reportedly obtaining school prospectuses and meeting head teachers in the 12 months beforehand. Harry is said to envision staying in the United Kingdom for a minimum of 12 to 15 years, covering the full duration of his children's school-age period. The Sussexes are currently searching for a country property in the Cotswolds with a budget of around £8 million, though no home has been secured as of arrival. In 2025, after 5 years of building a private life in Montecito, California, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, publicly confirmed plans to relocate to the United Kingdom. The announcement came as a significant surprise, given the couple's well-documented departure from British royal life in January 2020, when they stepped back from senior royal duties and subsequently settled in North America. Their initial months after leaving the UK were spent on Vancouver Island in Canada, before a move to a rented property in Los Angeles, eventually transitioning to their permanent Montecito home, a property purchased for approximately $14 million. The relocation plan drew immediate attention from royal watchers and legal analysts alike, with the prospect of a return to British soil carrying implications that stretched far beyond a simple change of address. Reports confirmed that the couple's 2 children, Archie and Lilibet, would be enrolled in British schools as part of the move, a detail that many observers viewed as evidence the relocation was intended to be lasting, not temporary.
And Meghan manages to outmaneuver herself at every turn, and she becomes the prey, as does Harry. I actually, John, think that what you say has a degree of merit.
Behind the announcement of their return to the United Kingdom lay a more pressing concern: Harry's immigration status in the United States. Prince Harry had been a subject of scrutiny from American immigration authorities since his 2023 memoir, Spare, confirmed he had used drugs, including cocaine, heroin, and marijuana prior to entering the United States under a visa that requires applicants to disclose prior drug use. The Heritage Foundation's Oversight Project formally requested in 2023 that the Department of Homeland Security release Harry's immigration documents, arguing that his drug admissions should have affected his admissibility. Reports in August 2025 indicated that a formal decision regarding Harry's visa was under active review as early as August 11th of that year. Within days of that date, Harry and Meghan made a very public announcement about their plans to leave the United States and relocate to the UK, a timeline that many observers interpreted as directly connected. Making the departure public, rather than quiet, sent a clear signal to US authorities that the subject of their visa review was choosing to leave voluntarily.
And within a few days, Harry and Meghan have made the announcement. Think about it. Was the leak done to encourage Harry and Meghan, well, really to push them out? I think there is a school of thought that that is precisely what has happened. And we can...
Among the most legally significant details in the Sussexes' relocation plan was the decision to enroll their children in British schools. Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor, born May 6, 2019, at the Portland Hospital in London, had spent virtually his entire childhood in the United States since his parents departed the UK in early 2020. His younger sister, Lilibet Diana, born June 4, 2021, at Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital in California, had never lived in Britain. Enrolling children in schools within a given country is a recognized indicator of domicile under English family law, carrying potential implications for questions of jurisdiction and parental rights. Legal commentators noted that establishing the children in British education represented a meaningful commitment to the UK as the family's primary base, a commitment that would complicate any future attempt by one parent to relocate the children abroad without the other's consent. Whether the children would attend state schools or independent institutions had not been formally confirmed at the time of the announcement.
And Meghan manages to outmaneuver herself at every turn, and she becomes the prey, as does Harry. I actually, John, think that what you say has a degree of merit. Now, I am not saying that Harry has embarked on a serious relationship with another woman for legal reasons. But if that's your opinion,
Multiple senior royal sources have consistently indicated that King Charles III's relationship with his younger son has been permanently altered by events beginning in 2020 and culminating in the publication of Harry's memoir Spare in January 2023. The book contained a series of allegations that royal insiders describe as devastating to whatever trust previously existed between father and son. Among its most explosive passages were descriptions of violent imagery involving his father, accusations directed at Queen Camilla, claims about the handling of Meghan's mental health crisis, and an account of a physical confrontation with Prince William. Royal advisors are said to regard any meaningful reconciliation as deeply improbable. The situation is further complicated by the institutional dimension. As king, Charles is required to consider not just his personal feelings, but the impact of any decision on the reputation and stability of the monarchy. Welcoming Harry and Meghan back into the royal fold, even informally, carries political and institutional costs that the palace considers prohibitive, independent of Charles's personal feelings about his son.
But with the passage of time and all the problems that have arisen, William and Charles have achieved a working relationship, a rapprochement, and a respect for and understanding of each other that did not come naturally. Now, I don't know about you, but I know from my own personal experience that you can have a personal, natural affinity with someone, that their bad behavior overrides to such an extent that other
Prince William and Princess Catherine have consistently maintained what those close to the royal household describe as a deliberate policy of minimal engagement with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Rather than confronting the couple directly, William and Catherine are said to apply a strategy of strict non-engagement, refusing to justify their conduct, declining to explain their decisions publicly, and limiting all formal communication to what is absolutely required. This approach, sometimes described in psychological literature as a grey rock technique, is designed to deny a difficult relationship the emotional reaction it seeks. In practice, within royal households, this is easier to implement than it would be in a private setting, because formal communication between senior royals typically flows through private secretaries rather than directly between the principals, meaning meaningful personal contact can be reduced to near zero without generating further press coverage. Royal observers consistently note that this measured, unreactive stance has allowed the Prince and Princess of Wales to remain largely insulated from the controversy generated by Harry and Meghan over the past 5 years.
Is obliged to deal with things in a way that will accord with his conscience and his scruples. Clearly, they are not always the same as William's. But if you think that Charles is an open book, as many people do, who has let Harry back in and is going to embrace Harry and Meghan and acts as if nothing.
In 2025, reports emerged that Meghan Markle had been linked to a potential role in a production connected to British filmmaker Guy Ritchie, best known for directing films including Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, and The Gentleman, which was adapted into a successful Netflix series in 2024. The report suggested she was being considered for a role in a Netflix project associated with Ritchie's production slate. However, within a short period, it was reported that the opportunity had been withdrawn, with entertainment industry sources citing concerns about audience backlash and Meghan's public approval ratings, which had declined substantially in both the United Kingdom and the United States since 2020. The episode came against the backdrop of Meghan's significant commercial setbacks, including the early termination of her Spotify podcast deal following a single season of Archetypes in 2023, and the conclusion of the reported $100 million Netflix partnership. Her lifestyle brand, As Ever, launched in 2025, represented one of her remaining active commercial projects at the time.
Prospect of the announcement being made that, in fact, owing to the backlash, in other words, she's so unpopular that people wouldn't want to watch anything with her, that the offer has been withdrawn. 27,000 tears left eye. Now, you've raised a really interesting question.
The couple's financial trajectory since departing the royal family has been a subject of considerable public attention. In the years immediately following their exit, Harry and Meghan secured what were reported to be exceptional commercial agreements. A Netflix partnership worth a reported $100 million, a Spotify deal for Meghan's podcast reportedly valued at approximately $20 million, and peak speaking engagement fees for Harry reportedly reaching around $1 million per event, including a reported $1 million fee from JP Morgan for a private speaking engagement in Florida. By 2025, those figures had fallen sharply. Speaking fees were widely reported to have dropped to the range of $30,000 to $50,000 per engagement. Both the Netflix and Spotify deals had concluded without renewal. Maintaining their Montecito estate, purchased for approximately $14.65 million, with associated costs for staffing, security, and upkeep running into the millions annually, represented a fixed financial burden that was increasingly difficult to sustain against a dramatically reduced income. The reported decision to leave Montecito was interpreted by some as, at least in part, a recognition of economic reality.
Poppycock, plain and simple. And also, the announcement has been made that, in fact, Guy Ritchie withdrew the offer of a part in the movie. And in fact, it's not really a movie, it's a Netflix series. And my understanding is that it might have covered the third series, but Meghan is the one who has been broadcasting all of this.
The couple has historically demonstrated a clear ability to travel internationally without media knowledge. Trips to Portugal, Mexico, and Jamaica were all completed without press awareness. Given this established pattern, the decision to make their UK relocation a matter of public record was widely regarded as deliberate rather than accidental. Most observers concluded that the very public announcement served a specific legal purpose: to formally register with US immigration authorities that Harry was not remaining in the country in violation of any terms attached to a visa under review. Under US immigration law, an individual's voluntary departure on record can be a meaningful factor in how a pending visa decision is handled. Had Harry left quietly, US authorities would have had no documentation confirming his departure. By announcing loudly and publicly, through media channels that generated immediate international coverage, the couple created an unambiguous record of compliance with an implied request to leave, potentially protecting Harry from more serious immigration consequences.
Was the leak done to encourage Harry and Meghan? Well, really to push them out? I think there is a school of thought that that is precisely what has happened. And we can only go off the evidence before our eyes and draw our own conclusions. But certainly they could have been as quiet as the grave, as they often.
While King Charles's relationship with Harry has deteriorated, his working partnership with Prince William has grown considerably stronger over the same period. The two were not always naturally aligned. Charles has been described as more emotionally open and sentimental than his elder son, while William is characterized by royal insiders as more measured, pragmatic, and emotionally guarded. However, years of shared institutional responsibility, combined with the crisis generated by Harry and Meghan's departure and subsequent media campaign, have forged a more robust and mutually respectful partnership. King Charles is said to clearly attribute responsibility for the family rift to Harry and Meghan's conduct rather than to any failing by William. The succession, William as heir, supported by Catherine, Princess of Wales, is considered settled, stable, and well prepared. Royal analysts view this as one of the unintended consequences of Harry and Meghan's departure. It accelerated a more productive, if not always warmer, father-son working relationship between the king and his heir.
But there is a mature respect between William and Charles, and there is a realistic distrust where Harry is concerned. So, no, Charles will never have a good relationship with both his sons, ever again. He will have...
Prince Harry has pursued several high-profile legal actions through the British courts since leaving royal life, with outcomes that were mixed but universally expensive. He was among the claimants in the Mirror Group newspaper's phone hacking trial, in which he won a partial victory in 2023, one of the few cases where he received a favourable judgment, with damages of £140,600 awarded. He also pursued a long-running case against Associated Newspapers, publisher of the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday, which settled before a full trial. Total legal costs in major UK tabloid litigation of this kind run to extraordinary levels, with reports indicating opposing side costs in the broader tabloid litigation were estimated in the tens of millions of pounds. Harry's primary UK legal representative across several actions was solicitor David Sherborne. Questions about whether Harry's legal team operated on a no-win, no-fee basis, and what that meant for which costs Harry personally bore, circulated widely, though no public confirmation of the precise fee structure in his cases was made.
Face, or within the confines of a very narrow parameter. When you're dealing with the whole world, and the view of the whole world, it's an entirely different perspective. I'm sorry. And minimal contact is quite different from no contact. Certain times, certain situations call for contact. I mean, for instance, I had to stop.
Long before their public UK move announcement, Harry and Meghan had demonstrated a well-established ability to travel internationally without attracting press attention. Multiple trips, including visits to Portugal, Mexico, and Jamaica, were completed without prior or even simultaneous media knowledge. During the early months following their departure from the UK in 2020, Harry reportedly travelled from California to Florida to deliver a paid speaking engagement at a JP Morgan event without the trip being publicly known in advance. The couple's move from Canada to California in early 2020 also proceeded with limited media attention until after they had arrived at their temporary accommodation at filmmaker Tyler Perry's Beverly Hills property. This consistent ability to move privately makes the loudly public announcement of their 2025 UK move all the more notable as a deliberate strategic choice. It suggests the decision to go public was made not from necessity, but from a specific desire to ensure the move was on the record, in plain view, for purposes that went beyond simply managing their public image.
When it suits Harry and Meghan, and I have always made this point, they are as covert and silent as the grave. All this nonsense about they are hounded is utter rubbish. They've never been hounded by the paparazzi. They've never been hounded by the press. They've never been hounded by the public. They've never been hounded by anybody. What they have done is hound.
A physical return to British soil does not automatically translate into reintegration into royal circles, a reality that those familiar with British royal and aristocratic custom have been clear about. According to those with knowledge of how the royal family's social world operates, Harry and Meghan would need to be formally received by the senior working members of the royal family before they could expect any form of acceptance back into that world. That list of necessary receptions would include King Charles III, Queen Camilla, the Prince and Princess of Wales, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, and the Princess Royal, among others. There is no indication from any palace-connected source that any such reception is planned or under consideration. The royal family's stance of minimal, formal-only engagement with the couple has remained unchanged regardless of where Harry and Meghan are physically located, meaning that a return to British soil would place the couple geographically closer to the royal family, while leaving them as socially distant from it as they have been for 5 years.
The young man that he used to be, with layers of 12-step wisdom to palliate and really make somewhat tolerable all the things he did. Maybe I would receive him for tea, but Meghan Markle, not a chance in this life or the next, except for major bucks. Not a chance. I think the woman is totally